Hey, welcome to our YouTube channel. I have a question for you. What is the most priceless, cherished gift any man, woman, child, boy, or girl can experience in this earth realm? I have the answer. It's love. Love is priceless. There is nothing that compares to love. The love between a God and His creation, the love between a man and a woman, the love between parents and children. If you have love, cherish it. And if you don't, listen to me. You can find that love through the love of God. The seed of that love will cause you to love others around you in a way that will change their lives. God bless. Hashtag take back the family.
You know, many people talk about love as though it's a fairy tale. Whenever my husband and I speak of love, we speak about the love of God. Love suffers long, and it's kind. It's not easily provoked. It doesn't behave itself rudely. Love never fails. So, turn on the love.
Hey, we're about to leave on our way to Los Angeles, on our way to meet with some great people.
Yeah, some good people.
Yeah.
And we love fellowship and hanging out with them at the DoubleTree Hotel in Culver City.
Yes.
Yeah, so you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So thank you for reminding us of that, Diana. We bless you today.
MC and the Food Network show Sweet Smart.
Watch
Trying
what
to
you
look
do.
for something. I see what I'm doing. I know I got Precious cargo in the car. It's all good. Precious cargo. I know you don't want nothing there. I want nothing to happen. Right? That sound like what? Bugs Bunny. Where's the rabbit? I know it. Where's the rabbit? No, I'm just playing. Oh man. Oh boy. So check it out. Why you were saying earlier about how some people's marriages are influenced, or people are influenced based on what goes on in the media. Was that what you were
people are
saying?
influenced about, sometimes you have to think about what role models do we have in the media that says that someone has good marriage? Because they really don't put any good,
Well, I mean, right now, a lot of media couples, like you have Beyonce and Jay-Z, you got Kim Kardashian, and
yeah, but it never goes really over their marriage. It doesn't talk about their marriage. It just gives you a glimpse of what they look like married, but doesn't go into their marriage.
okay.
Marriages
So
are
do
really,
you think their marriages are influencing other couples, or, I mean,
I honestly feel that it's more divorces influencing people in the media than it is marriage.
okay,
Because they're always reporting on who's breaking up, but they never.
talking about marriages that are successful.
No, they never talk about it.
Okay.
If you think about it, whenever the media exemplifies marriage, it talks about. I'm trying to think. I lost my thought. Whenever the media talks about what it doesn't even acknowledge that you're even married, because each individual
That's true.
is never given that last person's name. You're giving your maiden name. You're not
In
giving,
Hollywood, you're talking about
in
in
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
well, the media,
yeah.
the media,
Right,
Hollywood,
okay.
same thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, joining me in this segment is Anthony Jones. He's a therapist. He's a family therapist, counsels a lot of couples, individuals, and we're addressing on this episode, why is marriage so hard for people? What makes marriage so hard for couples?
That's a very interesting question, Pastor, because I deal with a lot of couples and I see them with the thought of marriage is just difficult and they don't see any hope or any future. I think the first thing is that people have allowed the expectations that the world has set, that television has set, that media has set, carry into their relationships. So in other words, they looked at couples like the Cosbys, or as far as back the Osmonds, or looked at Ozzie and Harriet and said that we need to have a relationship just like that, and not realizing what we bring individually to the relationship. So what happens is the relationship becomes convoluted because we have all this exterior stuff coming into what we think marriage should be like, and which makes it hard because financially we're not meeting up, the kids are not what we expected to be, and we're not who we are individually in our relationship.
And I love what you said about the Harry and Ozzie and the Cosbys, because most of us don't come from those families.
Not at all.
At all, but yet we're expecting that television family to, which is playing something out on stage, to become a reality in our lives that we haven't even prepared to be each other. So what would you say is one of the number one things that you find couples wrestle with when when it comes to each other?
I think, a lot of times people will say that we've grown apart. I think the really is that we, a lot of times as people, are not taught how to communicate. But honest communication, open communication, in which becomes a hindrance in the relationship, because if I don't feel I can talk to you, then what do? I hold it in? Or guess what? I find somebody else who will hear my ear, and usually men will do that, and that starts inappropriate relationships with other people.
So what I want to do is I had some fun talking to some couples about, what makes marriage hard and getting their opinions. So let's check that out real quick. I want you to see this.
Okay.
So our question in this episode is, why do you think so many couples have it hard in marriage? What makes marriage hard?
I believe what makes marriage, or the perception of what makes marriage hard, is the perception that marriage is supposed to be happiness all the time. And I think life in general and how you approach any situation, even if you have children, you love your children more than anything in this world, but it doesn't mean every single morning you wake up it's just this blissful Cinderella story with, butterflies and mice helping you clean the kitchen. It's just not that. It's real life, and people have a misconception of what marriage is. I think we take our challenges better and easier, and they're more expected with parenthood than they are with marriage. So we're willing to give more and sacrifice more and put in more harder work to be a parent, but not as much to be a husband or wife.
Selfishness. I think a lot of us come into a relationship, let alone a marriage, with the idea that I'm going to change this person, or they already have a preconceived mindset of how they're going to mold this person to fit their lifestyle. And in all actuality, if you have to do that to a person, then guess what? That's not the one for you. The one that's going to be for you is going to be the one that's going to be compatible. It's going to be the one that you can learn from. It's going to be the one that you can grow with. A lot of, speaking for myself, I just thought it was just going to be easier. I just thought it was just going to be, now my life is set, everything is going to fall into order. No, that's not the case. It is hard. It's something that you do have to wake up every morning and hit the reset button on every single morning. You get into an argument the day before, reset button, let's try again. It doesn't make it hard. It makes it real. When you have someone that you can bounce off of, as far as emotions, feelings, words, that's what makes the relationship or the marriage great. That's what makes it work.
I particularly like the couple that we spoke with at the beach. They seemed to,
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah,
I like them.
Yeah, they were really a lot of fun.
All right, let's go to that. Let's check them out.
Yeah.
So, what makes relationships hard?
I think in heterosexual relationships, the fundamental differences in communication, male and female, one might expect something from the other based on how they communicate, but it's different. Like, guys tend to be really direct, and girls tend to think the guy knows what to say and do. They also kind of wait for something to happen or kind of beat around the bush, so people don't realize that often. So
yeah, I think people expect the other person to, I guess, kind of say what they mean and show what they mean, and the expectation is both ways, but they aren't, they're doing it on different wavelengths. The guys communicate and show, emotions and thoughts in one way, and the girls interpret them in a completely different way. So I think that kind of leads to miscommunication, which then comes across as, lack of interest or lack of caring, lack of love, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so.
Lost in translation. Both people could be into it, but they're going about it in a different way, and you might not know what the other person's thinking, and people kind of get lost.
Yeah.
From listening to some of the couples, I get the impression that, and there's a few good points that they brought out, but one is expectations. Couples' expectation of each other, and they find themselves disappointed. And so, what's your thought about that?
Well, I think that's where you get into a weird zone. You expect something of a person when you should allow that person just to be themselves.
Okay, so do you think that there's this expectation? It's interesting. I counseled with a couple. I had a session the other day with a couple, and one of the parties said that I made it clear to them before we got married what I expected.
Before they got married, before we got married?
Before they got married.
Okay.
I'm not talking about us.
But you said before we got married.
I just said I had a session with a couple the other day.
Got it.
Okay.
I got it.
And so one of the parties said that I made it very clear to them what my expectations were and what I was not going to do. And we then he said we got married, and then she had a view and a picture for me and wanted to change me. And so what about when there's an expectation that's a false expectation? Because he made it clear to her. I was going to tell you, he made it clear to her of what he expected and what he was not going to do.
Right.
But then she had another plan, another view for that marriage for him.
Well, I really believe that marriage is really unpredictable. It's kind of like what we say it in our vows: for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health. You don't know you have high expectations. Of course, we know this couple right now. They've retired, and their expectations was to travel around the world. But his health got in the way, and they can't no longer travel around the world.
That's different though. That when I tell you that you cannot expect this of me, that's not going to happen. How do you now proceed forward with this mindset that we are going to do this, although you communicated to me clearly that I am not up for that, I am not doing that? So that's a false expectation. It's an erroneous expectation. It's an unfair expectation, because you knew that person was not capable or not willing to give you this. Expectations.
Right.
We're talking about expectations.
And I'm saying that
I think it's interesting.
I believe you should not have any expectations, because
life
happens.
That's a shocker.
Life happens. Things happen.
So are you saying that a couple should not have expectations of the other person? Oh no, I totally disagree with that.
I do.
Oh no.
Because I'm gonna tell you something.
Watch this. You expected me. Watch this. You expected me to watch this to have a job. Hello. Watch this. I expected you to cook. No, you have expectations. I expected the kids to clean the house. We all have expectations.
I had expectations when I got married for you to be a certain way. And you did not come near those expectations that I had. So life happened. I do not believe in no doggone expectations. You did not live
Oh, my
up to.
goodness.
You did not live up to what I expected of you, and I did not live up to what you expected.
Okay, so here's the
And that is
problem.
like that's
Here's
a deal
the problem.
breaker to expect something.
When you do not voice your expectations in the beginning, which brings us back to communication. Let's check somebody else out real quick. No.
You're a control freak.
No.
You're a control freak.
No. What does that have to do with control?
It's control.
All right, hold on. Let's hear some other
Control.
couples. Let's hear some other couples on this, and we'll come back to this subject.
Okay.
Hey, it is what it is.
It is.
I'm gonna keep praying for you, though.
Pray for you too,
Right.
brother.